run from her destiny.
How can I help Buffy?
Now she's putting her life back together.
I just want to get back to my normal routine. You know, school, slang, kid stuff.
A lot has changed while she was away.
Is everything okay? You seem to be avoiding me.
You can't just bury stuff, Buffy. It'll come right back up to get you.
Of course, some things never change. An all-new Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
And this week, we will be tackling Season 3, Episode 2, Dead Man's Party.
Yes,
probably not much of a party.
It's a direct reference to the 1985 Oingo Boingo song of the same name.
Oh, okay. Well, I just figured, they're all dead, so it's probably not going to be a very good party. That's just me. James.
Yes, sir.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fucking fabulous. I have not seen you in at least 15 minutes.
It's been at least 15 whole minutes.
Yeah, it's wow. We've decided to record always in the same clothing and looking the same.
Yes.
That's clearly what's going on here. We did not record these episodes back to back.
No.
With a 15-minute break between. No, we didn't.
Nope.
We would
did not
do something like that.
We would never, ever do something like that.
That's
just so that
ridiculous.
we could have an episode in the bag, so we could be a little ahead of schedule.
Yeah,
or anything like that.
We don't think that far ahead. We're idiots.
We're idiots.
Would never.
Why would we plan like that? We're
Exactly.
morons.
We don't plan ahead for anything
Right.
other than molestation.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry. I said milkshakes.
I love milkshakes.
Oh, I do love a good milkshake, man. You know how long it's been? I haven't had a milkshake, a true milkshake, in a hot minute. Sad. James.
Yes, sir.
Do we have anything to discuss prior to jumping into this much better episode?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Just that it is a much better episode than last week's.
All right. Well, then take us
opinion.
to some of those juicy, delicious, percolating dates and deets.
As previously mentioned, we will be jumping into Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 3, Episode 2, the 36th episode of the series overall, Dead Man's Party. Our episode director this week is James Whitmore Jr., and our credited writer is Marty Noxon. And not surprising that this is a pretty good episode. That's the same director and writing duo that brought us I Only Have Eyes for You last season.
Okay, that was a okay episode.
Pretty good episode. Our original air date was October 6th, 1998 on the now defunct WB network, and we pulled a Nielsen rating of 4.3 million households during our original airing. Our regular cast, as always, includes Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy, Nicholas Brendan as Xander, Allison Hannigan as Willow, Charisma Carpenter as Cordelia, Seth Green as Oz, and Anthony Stewart Head as Giles. Our guest stars this week include Christine Sutherland as Joyce, Armin Shimmerman as Principal Snyder, Nancy Leanhen as Pat, Danny Strong as Jonathan, and Jason Hall as Devin. Our episode synopsis this week reads, Buffy faces a difficult return to Sunnydale, but must reunite with Xander and Willow to face a new threat from the undead.
Well, I think your synopsis defeated mine this week. Mine has nothing to do with what yours just said. Mine says a Nigerian mask reanimates the dead, forcing Buffy to battle a horde of zombies.
Wow.
And that's somewhat accurate.
It is.
Act accurate, but
yeah. So we open on Buffy finishing unpacking the last of her belongings after her return to Sunnydale at the end of our previous episode, and she goes over by Mama Joyce's bedroom to let her know that she's heading out for a little bit, and we see
And
that
Mama
Joyce
Joyce has a client at home. She's getting fucking hammered.
she is just getting railed over her fucking uh uh nightstand.
Yeah.
And
Shit's on the floor.
I was like what is going on? Like, we've never seen her conduct business during these hours while Buffy's at home before. She usually at least steps out for it,
right. She
goes
usually
to
at least gets a crack motel.
right, gets a hotel, maybe meets at the John's place. Not sure why. And then it dawned on me, she's not used to Buffy being around anymore.
Right. She ran off. She could do business at home.
Right. She's just hosting these guys at her place now. Easy peasy.
And the fucking most fucked up part of the whole thing is the John is Principal Snyder.
I'm glad I wasn't actually drinking with you.
And he's literally standing on a fucking a little like
step
a lift
stool.
so that he can just he looks like a Chihuahua humping a Great Dane. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it looks like. And that's why I threw up in my mouth and turned the episode off.
Right. I did too at that point. So this is a really short review.
Yeah.
Everyone. So
our
monsterology for this week. No. So Joyce is hanging up a mask, a Nigerian mask that came in as part of a new shipment of artifacts to the her gallery. She kind of reluctantly gives Buffy permission to head out and go find her friends, and we cut to a little bit later, and we're in an alley, and Buffy sees a shadowy figure kind of skulking down the alley, and she gets suspicious, so she follows, and she steps on a soda can and draws attention to herself, and the figure she's following spins around and jams a stake at her, of course, which she easily blocks and grabs out of this person's hand, and she turns to face him, and it's Xander, and she makes a little quip about not playing with pointy sticks because it's all fun and games till someone loses an eye, and
he's like, fine, I'll just play with my pecker, and he immediately drops his pants, and she's like, what? And he's going to town immediately.
Right.
So what does she do? Snaps his neck.
Yeah. And the weird, like, he was already like
yeah, he was full mass already.
Like, he didn't even have to like fiddle with it or anything.
He was already chubbed up.
He just went, and he didn't spit in his hand or anything.
No, he went
no lube.
Dry, bro.
He just raw dogged it.
And she is completely
disgusted.
Mortified by this because number one, it's fucking Xander.
Right.
But number two, she's been with Angel. Like, she wants to see this fucking chode.
Right. She is as disgusted as our listeners are right now.
Exactly. She was trying to find the button to stop playback. Unfortunately, it was real life, and she couldn't.
Right. So as she's finishing her little quip, a vampire busts out of, I don't know, where the fuck did he bust out of?
I don't know. I couldn't figure it out either. He just like busted out of a thing and was there.
Right. I was like,
okay.
Like, where the fuck is that even? What?
Yeah.
And attacks them both, and as they're fighting, Buffy hears Cordelia over a walkie-talkie that Xander has attached to his belt, And not long after that, Cordelia, Willow, and Oz show up on the scene and all decked out with their stakes and crosses. And Buffy's kind of surprised to see them all working as a team to get the vampire off of uh, off of her. And of course, one by one, the vampire takes them all out, and Buffy finally jumps in and finishes the vampire off, and gives her shocked friends a greeting, and we cut to our opening credits. That's our cold open.
Yep. And during the cold open, there's a fire. And in that fire comes all of the stars come running out of the fire. They themselves on fire. And I don't know, it's sad. It's a sad scene. It really is. I don't know where I was going with that. It didn't work.
Yeah, it started out strong, and then it really fizzled. I was like, dude, you need to.
Yeah, I know. It's sometimes, they're not all gold, James.
They're not.
Anyway, so the gang with Buffy head to Giles' apartment, and they're outside of it, and she's obviously very nervous about this, and she's kind of trying to back out, and they're like, no, we got to do this. So they knock, Giles answers, and yeah, the gang's all back together. They're in his living room and kind of lightly discussing things and what had been going on and where she had been. No specifics or they didn't get too deep into it. And Giles gets up at one point and goes into his kitchen to prepare what appears to be tea and crumpets. Literally, because he comes back with them on a tray later, and that's what it looks like to me. But it could be simple cookies, but we'll go with crumpets.
I think they're just cookies.
Let's go with crumpets, though, because it's definitely tea.
Oh yeah, it's tea.
Maybe it could have been coffee. Giles does like coffee.
I'm pretty sure it's tea.
We'll say tea and crumpets. But it's just there's just this great little part where he's standing in his kitchen alone, preparing this stuff, and he can hear all the kids in the living room talking still. And he takes his glasses off, and the relief, you can just see the relief on him, and he smiles, just hearing her voice and hearing them all talking. And he loves this girl. He loves her like his own daughter. And like I said, the relief just washes over him, and he's very, very happy man.
I love that scene. It's probably my favorite scene in the episode.
Yeah, it's that little bitty thing. It's so powerful,
Like you said, he doesn't even have any dialogue. It's all facial and whatnot. And like you said, it's his adoration and love of Buffy, like, just comes through so great in that little scene. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. So the next day, Joyce and Buffy go to see Principal Snyder, trying to get Buffy back into school. Of course, Snyder's not having any of it, and he's like, he's fucking jerking off to the idea that he's getting to block her out of school.
He really is. Like,
how does he say that? He's having little tinglings.
He says what's his exact line? I don't remember exactly what it is, but he says something to the effect of he's experiencing almost physical pleasure.
Yeah. So he's literally, I think under the desk, he is slamming away at his fucking hog meat.
Like he's going to town on himself.
Yeah, and he just keeps telling him, how happy he is that he gets to not let her come back. And then he says something about, on the way into school today, I saw that Hot Dog on a Stick was hiring, and you'd look so cute in that hat. And I was thinking, you'd look cute if she stuck that fucking stick up your ass.
So Snyder's exact quote is, I have not only the right, but also a nearly physical sensation of pleasure at the thought of keeping her out of school.
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, what, dude?
exactly. It's like
You're horned up at keeping her out of school? What is wrong with
right?
you?
The fuck, bro. So anyway, Buffy's like, let's go, Mom. You know, fuck this little twerp. So they leave, and Joyce is gonna drop Buffy off at this coffee shop to meet Willow. And she's like, you know, maybe we'll try private school or something. And Buffy's like, fuck me. And so Buffy hangs out at the coffee shop. Willow never shows. So
So I just real quick, um, season 3, obviously much more budget now.
Sure.
We are seeing this is clearly like downtown Sunnydale.
Mm-hmm.
So, more money to expand our universe physically, not just storytelling wise, but physically. We now have a section of downtown Sunnydale, you know, that we see complete with coffee shop. So, you know, just kind of I guess credit to the show's popularity, you know, to get that much more in the budget to expand like that, you know.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, they've at this point, the fucking numbers they're pulling, they've proven themselves to the network. So,
Right.
some cash has been injected into the budget at this. It's become more apparent now that it never has.
Right. Unfortunately, we'll see later in the episode, the espresso pump serves Seattle's best coffee, which is a shame.
Yes, exactly. Especially considering they're so far away. So yeah, Willow never shows, and Buffy's downtrodden, and so she just walks home. And as she's walking up to her door, this fucking fruity weird woman comes walking out of her house, and this is Pat, a book club member of Joyce's who they met, and blah blah blah. She's just a goofball weirdo. She's wearing like this fucking Native American necklace kind of thing. I don't want to sound stupid, but I don't know what it is. But she's just a goofball, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you really hurt your mom while you were gone." She's a bitch. She's also kind of an undercover bitch. So,
Let me ask you something.
yeah.
Are Joyce and Pat fucking?
Oh, she's a client, son.
That's
Pat
what
is
I
a
thought.
client. She's like,
That's what I
"Listen,
thought.
I saw you walk in the streets, and I thought, hey, do you go both ways?" And Joyce is like, "Well, if the price is right."
Mhm.
And then Pat pulled out a Benjamin, and she was like, "I'll do 5 people for that." And Pat was like, "Let's roll, ho." And bam, that's what was going to book club my ass. She's a
Mhm.
client.
Mhm.
Yeah.
As long as we're on the same page.
Oh yeah. So anyway, Buff heads into the house and talking to Mom, and she said, "Holy fuck, 2 episodes in a row with Mom around? Like, damn, she's actually taking this momming thing seriously. Not really, but you know, we'll pretend she is." So she says, "Hey, why don't I invite?" Or she's like, Willow called, and she's like, "The fuck, where was she?" Well, she didn't say. She just said she got held up, and that she tried to call. And I was like, tried to call? Why would she try to call them when she knew they weren't home?
Right.
What the fuck? But anyway, so Mom's like, "Hey, why don't I invite Mr. Giles and everybody over tonight for dinner, and we'll have dinner." And I'm thinking in my head, wow, you really are ballsy as fuck. You're gonna invite this guy now over for dinner?
Right? That was my immediate thought too. She's like, I thought we'd invite Willow and Mr. Giles and everyone. And I was like, you just fucking told this dude it's his fucking fault that your kid ran away from home, and you're gonna have him over for spaghetti?
Right. You just told this guy it's his fault that you're a horrible mother and a street walking hooer, and now you're going to invite him over for Joyce does not strike me as a very good cook, so I'm thinking it's probably tuna helper. And it's probably scorched, and like burnt to the bottom of the pan, and it's gonna taste like fucking Bigfoot's dick or something. So I don't know, but anyway,
Whoa,
Buffy.
hold on. Side story. How do you know what Bigfoot's dick tastes like?
We'll talk about that off camera.
Okay.
So, fucking. Then she's like, "Go down in the basement and get the good plates." And Buffy's like, "Mom, Giles and the gang are not good plate people. They're regular plate people." Anyway, she has to go down there. So she goes down in the basement to do this, and she finds a dead, fucking nasty, half decayed cat down in her basement. And the next thing we know, they're outside burying it. And Buffy's mom's like, "Well, do you want to say some words?" And Buffy's like what? "Thanks for stopping by and dying in our basement." And I was like, exactly, like what the fuck? Joyce is so goddamn weird. So she ends up clubbing Mom over the head with the shovel and buries her with the cat. And I'm like, yes, fucking finally. Woo. Anyway, later that night, Buffy's going to bed, and that fucking creepy, weird mask that Mom had been hanging in the room begins to glow. Its eyes begin to glow red. And then we see that dead, fucking mangy, nasty, fucking decayed cat climb out the ground where they had buried it. So I'm like, oh, cool. So this mask is basically going to create the pet cemetery, I guess. Then we cut, Buffy is now dreaming about Angel.
Who's she dreaming about?
From what I could tell, she was dreaming about... What? What? Yeah, okay. I have no idea what's happened in this scene. Okay, so it's not just me.
Nope, no idea.
Okay.
No idea.
Because she says something like, "Where are they?" And he says, "Oh, they're waiting for you up here." And she's like, I'm scared." And he goes, "You should be." And I'm like, what? And that's pretty much it. Like, she wakes up. Yeah. But was this, I don't know what this, like, was this like bad editing? Was shit cut out? Was this supposed to mean something later on? Because I thought, okay, this will come around full circle and later on in the episode, and we'll understand what this meant.
Right. No.
I never got that.
Nope.
It was just this weird fucking scene that like somebody wrote high or something. I don't know. Anyway, so the next morning, she and Joyce are talking about school options again, and they suggest murdering Principal Snyder to get her back into school. Mm-hmm. And Buffy's like, "Well, fuck, I can off him with a sneeze." And Joyce is like, "Well, let's do this shit." So that's what. No, I'm just kidding. Mom suggests, "Well, why don't you tell some more people that you're the Slayer? Like the police and Principal Snyder, and then maybe Principal Snyder will have, be lenient, understanding." And I'm like, oh yeah, he's clearly presented himself as a lenient and understanding individual. He's jerking off under his desk to the thought of keeping you out of school. So, Joyce is just, it's almost like the writers are making, how do I say this? Like they enjoy making her a character to hate.
Well, I've said this from the beginning. Joyce, it's always seemed like Joyce is there as a secondary antagonist.
Yes. Like she's the big bad of the season.
Right. Like there's always like the main villain, and then in some episodes there's Joyce. also Joyce.
Exactly. And I'm like, they give her the most shitty lines. They make her dumb and say stupid things that no rational person would think would be a thing to do or say, and I don't know. So she suggests that to Buffy, and Buffy is obviously like, "Yeah, lol, no." And then the mom opens up the back door at one point, and that fucking dead ass cat comes running in. And this part surprised me. We cut to a little bit later, and Buffy's answering the front door, and it's Giles, and he's got like a cage with him to capture this cat. And I'm like, Buffy, the vampire slayer, had to call Giles to come and capture a reanimated, half-dead cat. But that's exactly what happened. He pulls it out from underneath the couch or something and puts it in this cage, and they're talking and about the whole situation, and he's like, well, I'm gonna have to, do some research to figure out what the fuck is up with this, reanimated cat. And Buffy's like, well, I'll go with you. And he's like, you can't, because you're not allowed on school grounds. And she's like, oh yeah, about that. Well, fuck me. So I guess I'll just stay home. Guess I'll just go fuck myself then. And we cut back to the library, and they're just him and the gang are discussing various like welcome back dinner scenarios. It's a funny conversation, but I'm not going to go over it verbatim.
We should point out that in that scene where he gets the cat, he does make note of the
funny mask,
the Nigerian mask in Joyce's bedroom. Yeah,
right. And so here's another thing. This scene I didn't understand. They've all gotten the invite from Joyce to come for dinner, and somehow in their minds they've decided, well, okay, let's have a party.
Thank you. The whole, like, as this was unfolding, and then spoiler alert, as we'll get into it here in a few minutes, like, there's a full-blown party happening at Joyce's house,
like a teenage underage drinking party, and she's cool with it.
At no point was Joyce like, this isn't what I asked.
Yeah, no, you all are coming into my fucking house and trashing it.
Right. Also, like you said, underage. At what point in Joyce's appearances over the last 36 episodes have we ever gotten the impression that she would be okay with underage drinking in her house at a party that she didn't even sign up for?
Right. Because they're discussing it there in the library, and Willow looks at Oz and he's like, oh, hey, do you think you can get the band to play? And I'm like, the band to play? You're just invited for dinner. You're not invited to create a party at someone's house.
Right.
But that's exactly what the fuck they decide on. They're going to have a fucking full-blown kegger at Buffy's to make her feel, welcomed back. Giles, of course, is like, this is a horrible idea. What are you people on? But he gets outvoted, so he's just like, okay. Because he's going through research material at this time, trying to figure out something about this cat. And while they're blowing his mind with this utter stupidly fucking retarded idea, there's a picture of the mask and he misses it. And because they're so stupid and blowing his mind. So anyway, we cut later that night to Buffy's house, and she's in a cute little dress. She's done up to look nice. She's preparing the dining room table, putting the dishware out and whatnot. And she gets a knock at the door, and she answers it, and it's fucking Oz's band carrying like all their instruments and shit. And he's like, where do you want us to set up? And she's like, how about at your fucking house? And that was that's the beginning of it. Then it's insane. The house is literally full, wall to wall, with people. Buffy even makes a reference later to people she doesn't even fucking know or has never seen before. They're there. Mm-hmm. There's liquor everywhere.
Joyce is doing shots of
is doing
schnapps.
shots of schnapps in the kitchen with weird Pat
with
or whatever her
Pat.
name was. Every time I heard Pat, I was just thinking of that character from Saturday Night Live. Never knew if it was a guy or girl.
Yeah.
Pat. So anyway, yeah, she's literally doing drinking schnapps in the. It's. I don't know who wrote this, but anyway. Finally, Buffy calls Willow aside because she's not getting.
Real quick, when Pat first comes over, I think, does Pat come over before or after?
Before all the party goers get there.
Before the band gets there. Mm-hmm. Pat comes over with empanadas that she made in her Spanish class.
Yeah.
And Buffy asks, like, there's a moment of awkward silence between Buffy and Pat.
Yeah.
And Buffy's like, do you want to talk to my mom? And Pat's like, please. And before Pat can even finish saying please, Buffy is like, Mom!
Yeah. Get this weird adult lady away from me.
And I got such a kick out of it because it was such a teenager thing to do.
Yeah. So Buffy had been trying to talk to Willow, but Willow's like can't hear her over the music and stuff, and things just have seemed weird with all of Buffy's friends since she's been back. So she gets Willow and pulls her aside, and she's like, what's going on? It seemed like you've been avoiding me, and Willow, denies it and everything, and she's like, see, we're here now together, blah blah blah, and then she just kind of leaves, and now Buffy really knows like something's up, and she walks back through the house and she runs into Xander and Cordelia, who are basically fucking on the stairs. I mean, they're just making out, but it's some pretty deep making out. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know. It's pretty intense. And she's like, Buffy's totally grossed out by it. And then Xander sees her and they start they strike up a little bit of a conversation, but they're clearly too busy fucking eating each other's fucking throats to spend any time talking to Buffy. So, we cut back to the kitchen and Joyce and Pat are talking, and Pat's like, so how have you really been since Buffy's come home? And I'm like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this Pat lady just seems like a shit disturber to me, And Joyce is like, well, I thought that, when she'd get here, I'd just throw my arms around her and tell her how much I loved her and everything would be fine. But to be honest, it's actually been much harder. Well, see, Buffy overhears that part, but not the first part. So at this point, she's like, fuck this. All my friends are shitting on me. My mom's shitting on me. So she heads back upstairs and starts to pack her bag again. She's going to fucking jam out of here, which I don't fucking blame her, to be honest, because these people fucking suck. We cut back to the library and Giles hits the jackpot. He's looking through that book, and this time he spots the mask and the information, and he's like, fuck. So he rushes over to his phone, tries to call Buffy's house. Some goofy fucking party goer boy answers the phone, and he can't hear really what Giles is saying, and so that doesn't go well, and they get disconnected, and Giles is like, fuck this. So he grabs his shit and runs out and gets in his car and heads towards Buffy's, and we cut back to Buffy's room. And what's going on there, James? Other than the gangbang, you don't need to bring that part up.
Wait, where did you leave off?
Where Willow comes into Buffy's room as she's packing her satchel.
So
Willow comes into Buffy's room.
Well, no, but where did you leave off with Giles?
Jumps in his car and he's heading towards Buffy's.
Okay. Because my notes.
It's cool. I'll take it.
Well, no, I'm just saying because my notes continue the Giles in the car scene with having him hit that guy who turns out to be a dead.
Yeah,
but yeah, I kind of combined scenes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a failure on your part.
Mm-hmm. But Willow walks in on Buffy in her bedroom packing her bag, and they're going back and forth over Buffy's initial decision to run away.
And she's so shitty that she's like, "What are you gonna do? You gonna fucking leave again?" And I'm like, "Well, what? Why wouldn't she? You're all fucking douches."
Right. And she's all like, Willow's whining about like, I had all these things going on in my life over the summer, and I'm dating and I'm learning witchcraft and you were
learning to do spells. And Buffy's like, I murdered the man of my dreams to save the fucking world and was wanted for murder. I didn't commit and thrown out of my fucking house by my mother. Right. But sorry, Will.
Will's like, I'm dating a werewolf and I'm learning witchcraft and I didn't have my best friend here to talk about everything with, and boo, I've got sand in my vagina.
Because she was having to hide in a crack house because she was wanted for fucking murder she didn't commit.
Right.
Ah.
So at that point, Joyce comes into Buffy's bedroom, and of course, she flies off the fucking handle, and Buffy runs downstairs and trying to leave, and Joyce stops her, and like right in the middle of the fucking party, starts chewing Buffy out for running away and putting her through everything she put her through over the summer. And Buffy tries to defend herself, and then fucking Xander of all people,
he's the worst. He's the worst of all of them.
Fucking chimes in with his fucking 2 cents.
And will not let it, like, he is doubling and tripling down on this shit, dude.
Yep.
And then at one point, Oz is like, "Hey, I'm going to be the policeman here, and let's settle this down." And Willow's all like, "No, let him go." Like, she wants to.
Right.
Dude,
she's
I
like,
hate all of them at this point.
Right. She's like, obviously talking about things isn't going to help, so maybe we should try violence.
And at that point, I'm like, yeah, she should spin kick all of you in your fucking craniums.
Right. And like Buffy's crying and trying to defend herself, and she's getting attacked by her mom and fucking
all of
Xander
her best friends.
And Willow. Cordelia
is trying to help, but
Cordelia tries to help, but it's Cordelia
type of way of helping.
Right. And about that point, the horde of zombies crash into the Summers home, and they start attacking and killing people.
Because this mask that stupid, dumb fucking Joyce had brought from the gallery is a fucking Nigerian goddamn demon mask that brings shit back from the dead, by the way. You do that. I want to comment.
Sure.
I fucking hate every one of her friends in this episode, and her stupid fucking mother.
Oh yeah.
And we never get a resolution, even to the end of the episode. Buffy just accepts the fact that she was fucking Joyce says this thing at one point. It was a little bit earlier in the episode, but she says, "Buffy, you made bad choices and you just might have to suffer the consequences." And I'm like, fuck you. She didn't make a single bad choice. She's a 17-year-old girl who made the only fucking choices she could make to save the goddamn world, including you ungrateful fucking bitch.
Yep.
And no, she didn't make a single bad choice. Every choice she made, she had to make. She had to leave the house that night to go save the world. She had to kill the love of her life to save the fucking world. Then she had to go on the run because she was wanted for murder she didn't fucking commit, and you told her not to come home. So no, I think her choices were pretty goddamn good. And all of her fucking friends, fucking nailing themselves to fucking crosses and acting like, we can't believe you did this to us. I wanted to set all of them on fire and roast fucking marshmallows. Even Willow's normally the one that we can rely on to understand Buffy's side of things, and like, yo, you guys aren't understanding. No, even Willow is a fucking stupid hooch in this fucking episode, and I just want to beat all of them with fucking Negan's baseball bat.
Yep.
And
Xander tells Buffy that that taking off like she did was selfish and stupid.
yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute, Xander fucking Harris. If anybody in this fucking circle should be berating Buffy, it ain't your ass, because you are the most stupid, fucking obnoxious, childish, unresponsible, or I should say irresponsible asshole of everybody who has you don't just not have a leg to stand on. You have no legs to stand on. You are paraplegic in this fucking instance. And you should shut the fuck up forever.
Yep.
You know?
Cuz like you really want to lay it on the line. Look back at Becoming Part 2. Whose fault is it that Buffy didn't stall longer in the fight?
Because he wouldn't pass on the information.
Because he
due to
didn't
his own arrogant fucking childlike jealousy of Angel. Yes.
Because he refused to tell Buffy that Willow was trying the spell again.
Right, exactly. That's why I'm just like, fuck Xander fucking Harris. I'm so sick of his bullshit.
I've said it time and time again, and I will continue to say it time and time into the future. This podcast is 85% a Xander Lavelle Harris hate podcast.
Yes, because he is a shit character and a shit friend, and he is obviously Joss Whedon in real life.
So the zombies are attacking, and one of them grabs Pat and drags her off down a hallway. And
I got to talk about this Pat thing when we get to it.
And Buffy, Joyce, and Xander and Willow all run upstairs, and Oz and Cordelia hide in a closet downstairs. And
they're not actually hiding in a closet,
upstairs, they find Pat laying on the floor, and they get her up to her feet and into Joyce's bedroom. And
okay, pause. They get Pat into Joyce's bedroom. Now, if you watch that scene, they bring Pat in, and she has an arm around Joyce. And is it Cordelia?
No, because Cordelia's down in the closet. Okay,
she has an arm around Joyce and an arm around
Willow. I think Willow.
Okay, and they bring Pat into the bedroom there where they're hiding out from the zombies. She's walking with them and has her arms around them. Mm-hmm. They put her down, and Joyce says, "Oh my God, Pat, she's dead." And Willow, can't find a pulse and everything. I'm like, so she just died in like 1 second later?
Right.
I mean, she walked into the room, and they put her down on the thing, and she's dead. I don't know. I don't know.
Right. I was too. I was kind of like,
no marks on her, no blood,
right?
Not even like a boo-boo bruise, nothing.
Right.
She's been scared to death apparently.
Right.
Maybe they shoved one of those fucking empanadas down her fucking throat. And... Sorry, I don't like Pat.
So then we cut to a little bit later, and Oz and Cordelia come out of the closet.
Literally, they both tell everyone that they're actually homosexuals.
And all the zombies have either left or gone upstairs, and they run into Giles, who's finally showed up, and he explains that the mask contains the power of the zombie demon Uvu Mobani, or Evil Eye, and that all the zombies are after it, and whoever puts it on will become the demon incarnate.
And as he's driving in his car heading there, he has a funny line where he's like, oh, look at me, a demon mask that raises the dead. And he's like, fucking Americans. It's fucking funny.
We come back upstairs and nobody notices that Pat is now awake and zombified, and she gets up and
My favorite scene is when Pat throws Joyce across the fucking room.
And
Literally.
Joyce sees that Pat's alive, and she runs over to her only to be knocked across the room by Pat.
And I'm like, yeah.
But Joyce ends up landing over by Xander, and they're kind of looking on as Pat grabs the mask and puts it on. And
did you see Xander slip Joyce that 20 that he owed her from their last? Yeah.
But he tried to slip it to her, and she kind of like shooed it away, and she was like,
yeah. She's
that
like, Buffy's here.
Well, no, she was like, that one was on the house. I told you.
Oh, right. That little quick HJ behind the barn.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Pat puts on the and the mask immediately turns her into the demon incarnate, and she starts to speak. Of course, it's not her voice, it's the demon's voice, and
it has the dumbest, it has one line to say, and it's so dumb. What is it?
I live, you die.
Yeah, that's it.
And all the zombies that were previously trying to get into the room and kill everybody are now just completely paralyzed in fear by Mobani's presence. And Buffy tries to attack the demon, and but it flashes a bright white light that kind of stuns or hypnotizes Buffy for a moment, and she's unable to move, and she takes a pretty hard hit from the demon. And then the demon does the same thing to Willow and grabs Willow.
And it's just about to snap Willow's neck. Did you see that?
Yeah. I was just gonna say is just about to kill Willow, and Buffy recovers and jumps the demon and pushes herself and the demon through the bedroom window and out onto the roof, and then onto the ground outside. And they crash into the backyard, and Buffy's trying to avoid the demon's gaze by covering her eyes, and we cut back to Giles and Cordelia and Oz fighting off a zombie, and Giles tells Oz to warn Buffy that attacking the eyes is the only way to defeat the demon. And Oz jumps over the stair railing and runs out to the backyard and is immediately stunned by the demon's eye flash. And Buffy obviously puts two and two together and gets up and calls Pat's name, and when the demon turns around, she shoves the shovel that they had previously used to dig the hole for the dead cat right into fucking Pat's skull, right in the eyes.
Yep.
And
then not only does she like disappear,
but so
all
the
demons.
Yeah, the Pat and the mask and
zombies.
All the zombies disappear.
Like, wait a minute, they were just normal dead people. Why would they disappear? Whatever. Whatever.
Right. Everybody kind of regroups inside, and I don't know. Apparently, the fight made everything better because Willow and Buffy hug, and everything.
Buffy's okay with being completely shit on by a bunch of fucking ungrateful assholes.
Yeah.
And then stupid fucking Joyce has another stupid fucking line where she says, is this a normal day at the office for you? It's like, yeah, bitch. Yeah. This is the fucking shit she deals with constantly while you're being a fucking stuck up, snobby gallery bitch and giving her a hard fucking time, you know?
Right. So then we cut to the next day, and Giles is paying a visit to.
This is one of my favorite scenes of any episode of any season of all time.
And I know when you watched it, you immediately knew it was one of mine too.
Oh yeah, I was like, Ripper, hello there.
So Giles shows up at Principal Snyder's office, and he's trying to convince him to let Buffy come back to school, and um, Principal Snyder refuses, and Giles tells him that he'll take things right to the state Supreme Court and make things difficult for Snyder professionally. And Snyder says he's still not convinced, at which point Giles grabs Snyder by the lapel of his suit jacket and pushes him up against some filing cabinets and gets in his face, and he says, "Would you like me to convince you?"
But he's just got that devilish little smile, and he's like, "Would you like me to convince you?" Like he wants to let Ripper come out. You know, I was like, "Yeah."
And then we cut to the espresso pump, and Willow and Buffy are there, and Willow's
talking about her really hard summer of dabbling in magic,
right,
knocking the power out at one point, and I just want to slap her again. I'm like, Willow, you're the level-headed one that understands shit, and for some reason in this episode, you are basically Xander. I don't understand.
Right. So Buffy apologizes again for not being there for Willow, and
Which she should never have to do.
Willow forgives her, and
I would
then,
say, bitch, I need to forgive you, not the other way around.
And then they go back and forth exchanging some insults. That
it's so
and that's the end of our episode.
Yeah, thankfully, my blood pressure was in the triple digits at this point.
How about a little monsterology?
Okay.
So the demon,
Abu Babu Babu.
As far as I could tell, completely made up for the show. Overall, the ideas presented to me, and you kind of alluded to it before, is kind of a mishmash of Stephen King's Pet Sematary and George Romero's Dead series.
Yep.
So that's our monsterology for this week. Our body count this week is 6.
Yep.
And
that's if you don't count all the fucking zombies.
I was gonna say with an asterisk, the asterisk being if you count all the zombies that automatically disappeared when Buffy killed Ovu Mobani. No bronze band this week. We did not go to the bronze. Our music this week was Nevermind, performed by 4-Star Mary from the album Thrown to the Wolves, released by MSG Records in 1999. Sway, performed by 4-Star Mary from their self-titled album 4-Star Mary, released by 4-Star Mary Music in 1997. Pain, performed by 4-Star Mary from their self-titled album 4-Star Mary, released by 4-Star Mary Music in 1997. It was also featured on their album Thrown to the Wolves, released by MSG Records in 1999, as well as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the album, released by TVT Records in 1999. And the Mask theme, as composed by series composer Christoph Beck. 4-Star Mary, of course, is the band that is supposed to be... It's the band they use as the music for Oz's band Dingoes Ate My Baby. Jeremy,
Yes.
tell me, how many Nigerian demon masks do you give this episode? And give me your final thoughts.
Okay. Well, I gave last week's episode 2.5.
Mhm.
I'm right in the middle. This one, I'm going to give a 3.5.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
I need to explain why. First of all, that final scene with Giles punking out Snyder, that gave this an entire 1 extra point. So this also would have been a 2.5, but it became a 3.5 because that fucking scene is just whatever line Snyder used about almost experiencing physical pleasure. That was me, and during that scene, I was like, yes. Yeah. I just want to be. I'm going to be kind of brief about it. Good episode, like last week's. Not bad, not great. But it was ranked. I ranked it low because the stupidity of all these people who should be worshiping the ground that this fucking 17-year-old girl walks on, and yet they all had the audacity, and not only the audacity to shit on her, but to convince her that they were right, because she just accepts it and she's like, yeah, okay, I was no, you weren't. I want to swoop in and be like, you motherfuckers, like,
Right.
Joyce, you're a fucking adult, you should know better. Xander, you're a fucking delinquent, go to jail. Willow, I don't even know, you must be high today. Oz, you're cool. Cordelia,
And he literally was the only one that was cool. Like
well,
the
he
entire,
always
well,
is the
outside of
one that's cool.
Giles.
He's always the only one that's cool. He's like, I don't get into these things,
Right.
I don't know, man, but I said enough during the episode of how annoyed I was with those people. And
Right.
I remain that way because it doesn't resolve, like in the episode where they all come full circle and realize, wow, we were so wrong, to say these things, to believe but no, they all felt like they were right, and they even convinced her that they were right, and that just pisses me off. But anyway, other than that, okay episode, definitely better than last week's. A little more fun, but yeah, 3.5, a whole extra point because Ripper is the man. James,
Yes, sir.
how many convincing arguments would you give this episode? And give me your final thoughts.
I'm gonna give this episode a 3.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a great episode. It was a good episode. I think it would have served better as the season premiere. Like I stated in our review of the season premiere last week. But overall, yeah, I've never disliked our core characters as much as I did in this episode.
I know.
And like you said, the resolution to it at the end is Buffy just accepting that she's being shit on by her mom and her 2 best friends, and that she was completely in the wrong and they're right.
Yeah.
That's not, I don't, yeah. But
She made every right choice, is all I'm saying.
but yeah, not a bad episode by any means, but not a great episode. So yeah, a 3 from me.
Yeah, and the thing I love is that we're at a point now in the show where the quote unquote boring or stinker episodes are so much better than stinker episodes from like season 1. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like even the stinkers are entertaining and fun to watch.
Oh yeah. This season 3 episode would have been a 1 in season 1.
Oh yeah.
Or even season 2.
You think back to like the Pack, and it's like,
right.
This is so
Right.
much better, you know.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, uh, yeah, not a bad episode, but not a great episode.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I hesitate to say I wouldn't put it on. I don't think it's on a must-watch list.
No,
Um,
no.
but I wouldn't turn it off if I was flipping through
Yeah,
channels
yeah.
and saw that
When I
those were
say
on.
yeah, when I say it's something's not on the must-watch list, that doesn't mean I'm
Yeah.
saying, oh, I wouldn't watch this.
Right.
I just mean it's not on the like if somebody comes along and I'm like, you gotta see this episode.
Right.
You know, it's
Right.
definitely not one of those.
I mean, I think, it's definitely got some outstanding moments. The scene with Giles in his kitchen by himself, phenomenal.
Yeah.
The end scene with Giles and Snyder, phenomenal. I think Cordy trying to step in and defend Buffy is a really great moment in the episode. Unfortunately, she Cordy's it up.
Yeah. Well, if you remember, I don't know, midway through last season or so is when I said, this is the point where I begin to love Cordelia, you know?
Right.
Whereas
Right.
before it was like, oh, it's that bitch and her bitch squad. And, you know, like she was just that character, you know? And
Right.
now she's fully part of the squad. And, you know, you got to love Cordelia. She is who she is.
Right. You know, I think it was the previous episode, and I forgot to mention it at the time, but like when she saw Willow on the first day of school, like
Yeah.
she was genuinely happy to see Willow.
Yeah. She goes,
On the
hi,
first day
Willow.
of
How was your summer? You know?
Yeah. Like such a complete
From
turnaround.
where in the first episode she's like, oh, Willow, I see you're seeing the softer side of Sears. And
Right, exactly. Like
yeah.
I would say of our core cast, she's experienced so far the most character growth.
The most growth, but by far.
From
I mean, if you're not going to count Buffy, then yeah,
right.
Cordelia has yeah, and that's why I say like it's around last season or so is when you really start to love the Cordelia character, and it's like fuck, I can't imagine this show without her, you know?
Right. But yeah, so yeah, three from me.
All right.
And those are my final thoughts.
All right, James.
Yes, sir.
What's our website address?
www.jamesnakedass.com.
Okay, hang on a minute. I'm gonna pull that up. James. What is our real website address?
That would be buffyrevisited.com. And go ahead.
I was just going to say, and what's our email address?
That would be buffyrevisited@gmail.com. And you can find a link to that email address at buffyrevisited.com. You can also find a link to our Facebook, and you can either email us or Facebook us, message, comments, whatever, about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the series, or Angel the series, or specific episodes, or anything in between as it relates to Buffy and the Buffyverse. We would love to hear from you. We would love to discuss these things with you.
Yeah, since we don't get anyone talking to us, I'm considering setting up a Raven network, so people could send us a Raven. Maybe even carrier pigeons, whatever.
Carrier pigeons, sure. Sure.
I like the Raven idea though. That's seems cool.
Yeah.
SOS maybe.
Smoke signals.
I don't know Morse code, or I would set that up. Send us a self-addressed stamped envelope to so and so and so, and however you guys want to talk, let's fucking talk. You know.
Yeah. We Jeremy and I are only like this with each other. We won't be like this engaging in conversation with you all.
Well, I probably will.
Well, Jeremy probably will, but I am capable of having a completely adult conversation.
Yeah, I'm not. I am not even remotely capable of that.
about about these shows.
Yeah,
So-
I am a child. It's just who I am. Next week, James, guess what?
What?
Season 3, episode 3, Faith, Hope, and Trick. We know what the trick part is. That's Joyce. So we already know that. I mean,
but I could hope that it's the faith part is also the trick part.
yeah, this is one of my favorite episodes coming up. So
Mine too.
introduces one of my favorite characters. Any closing thoughts, James?
Okay,
Okay, then let's just go.
Nothing that really applies to this episode. I was just gonna say the introduction of this character next week just continues in a long line of my attraction to problematic women.
Yeah, we have to admit, as much as I hate he who shall not be named, he has very good taste in women.
Yeah. That started all the way back with Hercules, the Legendary Journeys, and Callisto.
Yeah,
Was probably the beginning of my my attraction to problematic women.
Yeah. I am going to not say a word, and I am going to just keep my mouth shut. But other than that, and with all that being alluded to, I look forward to seeing everyone next week. And until then, I've been one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
Ta-ta.